आधे बाउल दही में 4 चम्मच MDH चटनी पुदीना मसाला डाला, स्टर करो, पुदीना चटनी तैयार। MDH चटनी पुदीना मसाला।
Hi there, good evening and welcome to this special broadcast on Republic TV. Hope you had a great Sunday and now it's time to look forward to the coming week. This show, Looking Forward, is about stories that are shaping up over the coming days and weeks. News that is developing and would have consequences for you and me and impact our choices. Stories that shape India's and world's politics, geopolitics and geoeconomics going forward. Tonight, we bring to you 3 very important stories from both domestic and international front. First up, facing political irrelevance, the Thackray cousins are trying to patch up. Uddhav and Raj Thackeray, in some ways, have already lost the legacy of Bala Saheb. Even if they manage to come together, it would be more a salvage act. Would it succeed? More likely not. You shall have a lowdown. Second, Prime Minister Narendra Modi is all set to make a week-long global south trip to 5 nations in 2 continents. Like it happens in most of his trips, there are some nations an Indian Prime Minister is visiting for the first time in 3 decades or more. Then there is the BRICS summit in Brazil. You would get to know what all is lined up for Prime Minister Modi in Ghana, Namibia, Trinidad and Tobago, and Argentina. And finally, tonight's biggest story perhaps of interest. Who is going to be the successor of His Holiness the Dalai Lama? Would he announce his reincarnation as he had promised in 2011 that he would when he turns 90 years, which he is turning this week? Would the Chinese pull out the Dalai Lama of their choice out of the Tibetan robe? Why does the monk scare the dragon so much? Let's get started. Headlines first. Probe into the gang rape of law student in Kolkata intensifies. Special investigation team probing the case has been expanded from 5 members to 9 members. BJP takes out a massive Kanya Suraksha Yatra in protest. NCW says police is not allowing them to meet the victim or visit the crime scene. What is the police attempting to hide? While TMC stands in the dock over the issue of protection of women in the state, its MPs are busy locking horns among themselves. Just 3 months after their public spat, TMC MPs Kalyan Banerjee and Mahua Moitra at odds again, this time over Banerjee's controversial comments on the Kolkata Law College rape case. This comes after Mahua rebuked Kalyan Banerjee for his misogynistic remarks on the Kolkata rape horror, replying to which Kalyan Banerjee made another inappropriate personal comment on the party colleague. Maharashtra government has taken a step back in the face of rising criticism over alleged Hindi imposition. The controversial resolution that sought to implement a 3-language policy across schools has now been withdrawn. The move came after strong political backlash, particularly from opposition parties and Marathi groups who accused the state of diluting regional identity under the guise of linguistic harmony. Karnataka Congress MLA H.A. Iqbal Hussain claims that Deputy CM D.K. Shiv Kumar may get an opportunity to become Chief Minister of the state within the next 2 to 3 months. The statement comes amid reports of dissatisfaction from the Siddaramaiah-led administration by the sitting MLAs. To douse the embers of revolt, Congress has dispatched State in charge Randeep Surjewala to meet the dissenting legislators tomorrow, that's Monday. Stampede took place at 4 a.m. this morning at Puri's Gundicha temple, where Lord Jagannath and his siblings were taken as part of the Rath Yatra day before yesterday. 3 people lost their lives, while 10 injured in Odisha's Puri. Chief Minister Mohan Maji says Collector, DCP and the SP have been transferred and an ex gratia of rupees 25 lakhs announced. DGP of the state is roped in to probe the tragedy. Russia, in its biggest strike, fired a total of 537 aerial weapons at Ukraine, including 477 drones and decoys and 60 missiles. The barrage comes days after the NATO summit held in The Hague with Zelensky in attendance. The Ukrainian president said he needs better air defense and is counting on support from the US and Europe. Welcome back again, friends. Our first story tonight is one of legacy. The fight over one, in fact. It was nearly 20 years ago, a miffed Raj Thackeray walked out of the Shiv Sena when he was skipped in party succession in favor of the party patriarch's son, Uddhav. Raj, who was looked at as the political heir, was overlooked against Bala Saheb's own son. 20 years since then, and Raj Thackeray still attempts to find relevance in Maharashtra's mainstream politics. One would say even Uddhav does in the present. On the other hand, a common Shiv Sena worker, Eknath Shinde, managed to do what even Raj couldn't: take away from his brother's party, symbol, cadre, and even the people's mandate. Now, one Thackeray is left with his surname and the other with a faint essence of the erstwhile party patriarch. And both of them find themselves on the same side of an issue: the burning issue of Marathi Asmita and Hindi imposition. Even if the government has in fact just a while back taken a step back and decided not to press with the Hindi imposition or what the opposition tried to project, is it an opportunity to let bygones be bygones and usher into an era of survival? Or is it just testing waters for a possible alliance for the two brothers facing testing times ahead of the BMC elections, possibly early next year? Take a look.
Two heirs, one mentor, but two different legacies. Both Uddhav Thackeray and Raj were raised under the towering shadow of Balasaheb Thackeray. While Uddhav was the son and the most probable heir, it was Raj who imbibed the more visible aspects of Balasaheb's personality, complete with looks, style, and aggression. Even the skills of cartoons and caricature. Uddhav remained in the shadows, hampered by his shy, reserved, and barely vocal personality, not going well with the aggressive grassroots politics that Balasaheb was associated with. It all changed when Balasaheb revealed his mind and chose Uddhav as his successor, a decision that tore the party and the two brothers. Raj rebelled and in March of 2006 went on to form his own party, Maharashtra Navnirman Sena. A new party, a new symbol, and a new cadre. Uddhav, on the other hand, had everything: the party, the symbol, a loyal cadre, and even Balasaheb's blessings. But it all changed on 30th of June 2022 at 7:30 p.m. when something unthinkable happened.
मी एकनाथ संभाजी शिंदे ईश्वर साक्ष शपथ घेतो की महाराष्ट्र राज्याचा मुख्यमंत्री म्हणून माझ्या विचारार्थ आणली जाईल.
His name is Eknath Shinde, the man who walked away with 40 MLAs from Uddhav-led party and claimed to be the real Shiv Sena, leading Uddhav with nothing more than his surname for his legacy.
हमने हमारे परिवार के लोगों को जैसे हम संभालते वैसे हमने संभालने की कोशिश की. उन्होंने अपनी जो कहते हैं कि राजनीति में मां शिवसेना, उसकी हत्या करे, उसका दर्द जरूर है. हत्यारा कोई और नहीं, वो हमारे घर का ही निकला, वही हमें दर्द है.
यांनी शिवाजी महाराजांची भूमिका बदलली, बाळासाहेबांची भूमिका बदलली. तुम्ही हिंदुत्वाचे विचार सोडले म्हणून घरकाना फाटका झाले. ए शेर का बच्चा है, शेर का बच्चा खुलेआम किया. हिम्मत है तुम्हारे में.
For decades, Shiv Sena was synonymous with the Thackray surname, which went into an unprecedented rebellion. And Raj was not the one to sit on the sidelines.
एका माणसाने सगळ्या अख्खी पक्षाची वाट लावली अनेक लोक निघून गेले, त्या लोकांना हे म्हणतात गद्दार आहेत. अरे गद्दार तर घरात तिथे बसलाय, ज्यांनी पक्षाशी गद्दारी केली.
Raj Thackeray for decades has remained a headline maker but has had a limited share in the power structure in Maharashtra. Although he managed 13 seats in 2009 Maharashtra Assembly polls, he was not able to leave a mark on the state politics ever since. However, the 2024 state assembly elections changed the political landscape of Maharashtra forever.
Look at the sweep in Maharashtra. Look at the numbers here, ladies and gentlemen. 2019 Maharashtra, 2024 Maharashtra. Look at the geographical spread. In 2019, BJP got 105 seats with a vote share of 26.1%. This time, the party gets 133 seats with a vote share of 26.62%. The Shiv Sena Shinde faction performs well with 33 seats and a vote share of 12.44%. Between Shiv Sena and BJP, they have a combined vote share, ladies and gentlemen, of almost 49%.
Uddhav Sena was completely wiped out, with an election fought under Eknath Shinde's face, leading to an unprecedented mandate in Maharashtra, further solidifying his claim as the real Shiv Sena.
Raj Thackray now he's been accepted Hindu ideology. And whereas Uddhav Thackray has been saying he has not abandoned Hindutva, but practically you had seen that during the Lok Sabha polls after winning the election, some of the candidates, we have seen a lot of Pakistani flags in their rallies.
While Uddhav lost on ideology, Raj placed his hope on alignment with the Mahayuti. Despite it, he failed to open his account, with Raj Thakray's son Amit Thackeray losing from the Mahim seat against Uddhav Sena's Mahesh Sawant.
Uddhav Thackray has been behaving so rudely with MNS and MNS leaders. You do not forget in 2024 when Raj Thakray's son was contesting from Mahim, Uddhav Thackray intentionally ask his leaders, make sure that Amit Thackeray will defeat in the election.
What BJP's Ram Kadam is referring to is the possible reunion of Raj and Uddhav after 20 years, when they have found themselves on the same side of an issue, one close to Bala Saheb's heart.
कारण हा जो कट आहे, याला कटच म्हणेन मी, महाराष्ट्राचं मराठीपण हे घालवण्याचा जो कट आहे, हा उद्ध्वस्त करण्यासाठी मला असं वाटतं तमाम सर्व मराठी बांधवांनी, भगिनींनी, मातांनी, त्या विद्यार्थ्यांनी, सर्वांनी त्या मोर्चामध्ये सहभागी व्हावं अशी माझी त्यांना सर्वांना विनंती आहे. इथे कोणताही झेंडा नसेल, फक्त मराठी हा एक अजेंडा असेल.
तर आम्ही आमच्या वतीने हा विषय संपवलेला आहे. आम्ही GRची होळी केलेली आहे, त्याच्यामुळे आता तो GR आहे असं मानण्याचं कारण नाही. कारण एखादी गोष्ट जसं मी वारंवार सांगितलंय की हिंदीला विरोध नसला तरी हिंदीची सक्ती आम्ही लागू देणार.
On July 5th, 2025, later this week, Raj and Uddhav are coming together to hold a rally on the streets of Mumbai against Hindi imposition in Maharashtra.
ये सब खाली राजनीति है, बाकी कुछ नहीं. अगर जनता का भला देखना, महाराष्ट्र के लोगों का भला देखना चाहता तो पहले ही सोचते थे. अगर अभी तक राजनीति खाली रोटी सेकने का काम चल रहा है और आगे भी रोटी सेकने का काम चलेगा. इससे महाराष्ट्र की जनता का कोई फ़ायदा नहीं होना. खाली सब अपनी अपनी राजनीति गर्म कर रहे हैं, बाकी कुछ नहीं.
अभी आप पॉलिटिशियन के नज़रिए से देखेंगे तो अभी तो पॉलिटिक्स बहुत गंदा चल रहा है और एक इम्पैक्ट हो जाएगी कि राज ठाकरे, उद्धव ठाकरे साहब दोनों एक साथ आएंगे तो जो मराठी भाषा का जो अभी कच्चीकरण हो रहा है वो कच्चीकरण स्टॉप हो जाएगा.
इस देश के राजनीति में ठाकरे ब्रांड ये एक सुप्रीम ब्रांड, उसके ऊपर किसी चीज का इम्पैक्ट नहीं होता. कोशिश बहुत की है ये लोगों ने, बीजेपी के.
This rare show of unity has only fueled intense speculation that the Thackray duo may be inching closer to a political alliance ahead of the BMC civic polls in Mumbai, which BJP has never won.
दो भाई साथ में आते हैं
तो हमें कोई दुख नहीं है, क्योंकि एक परिवार साथ में आएगा उसमें कोई दुखी नहीं है। लेकिन वो साथ में आने से मुंबई करों का क्या फ़ायदा होगा, उसके लिए मेरे मन में डाउट है। क्योंकि देखिए, आप देखोगे ठाकरे फैमिली ने मुंबई पर 30 साल राज किया हुआ है। उद्धव ठाकरे की सत्ता थी महानगर पालिका में, उससे मुंबई वासियों को कुछ फ़ायदा नहीं हुआ। तो अभी दोनों साथ में आने से मुंबई वासियों को क्या फ़ायदा होगा?
The Shinde Sena is already calling it politics of convenience.
Whether Uddhav Thackray and Raj Thackray come together or not, it seems to be politics of convenience. Uddhav Thackray ji has lost his ideology, Raj Thackray ji has lost his relevance in state politics. And the sudden unity, which seems to be an aggressive push for a so-called legacy which is defunct, because we all know that this is the time when people choose politics of performance. They want genuine cultural awakening and not just an alliance for looking at the BMC elections.
Just a couple of months ago, Eknath Shinde had met Raj Thackeray at his residence, allegedly to discuss the BMC polls.
राज ठाकरे जी ने स्नेह भोजन का निमंत्रण दिया था, 2-3 महीने से चल रहा था। मेरी भी सभाएं थी, सब जगह जाना आना था। मैं यहाँ पर आ गया, स्नेह भोजन हुआ। ये सदिच्छा भेंट थी, ये कोई पॉलिटिकल मीटिंग नहीं थी।
MNS says there is no political angle.
The protest which we are carrying out on 5th July is not a political protest. Let me be very clear about this. And it is the protest for the pride of Marathi language. The government which is trying to impose Hindi on us, the protest is against it. If you are talking about a political alliance, it is not the agenda right now. The agenda is the imposition of Hindi.
Now the question looms, will brand Thackeray create waves in Maharashtra's turbulent politics?
Absolutely not. People have rejected the so-called surname brands of the Thackerays and the Gandhis. People want to see delivery, which the Mahayuti has done.
The MNS is keeping all its doors open.
Question of alliance between MNS and Shiv Sena is concerned, I think that decision can be taken in future by both the leaders, because when you talk about a political alliance, there are lots of angles. It's not just simple seat sharing and all these things. There are lots of angles. Currently, I don't think it's happening. I don't know what will happen in future.
Uddhav Sena seems to be quite optimistic at the prospects of the two brothers coming together on one common issue.
हमारी पार्टी में सारे बड़े फैसले हमारे शीर्ष नेतृत्व लेते हैं, आदरणीय पक्ष प्रमुख श्री उद्धव बाला साहब ठाकरे जी। उन्होंने कहा है कि अगर महाराष्ट्र की जनता को जो पसंद है वो हम करेंगे, महाराष्ट्र के दिल में जो है वो करेंगे। राज ठाकरे जी, उद्धव ठाकरे जी रिश्ते में भाई हैं, मित्र हैं, बहुत साल साथ में काम भी किया है उन्होंने। तो स्वाभाविक सी बात है कि राजनीति में कभी कभी महाराष्ट्र के लिए सब कुछ त्यागना पड़ता है। सबसे पहले हमारा महाराष्ट्र है, उसके बाद फिर राजनीति है।
Both Uddhav and Raj are now looking at dented relevance and are seeking revival. What Shiv Sena, UBT and MNS leaders believe that Uddhav's grassroots network and Raj's fierce oratory skills can consolidate a divided vote bank.
महाराष्ट्र नवनिर्माण सेना भी मराठी मानुस की बात करती है, हमारी शिवसेना भी मराठी मानुस की बात करती है। जो नकली शिवसेना लेकर बैठे हैं, बीजेपी का जो एजेंडा है कि महाराष्ट्र को, मुंबई को हमेशा नीचा दिखाना है, कमज़ोर करना है, उसको एक प्रकार से नुकसान होगा और दोनों ही पार्टी को फ़ायदा होगा। और जब भी दो लोग मिलते हैं तो ताकत बढ़ती है ना, ये तो इतिहास में हमेशा हमने देखा है।
In today's Maharashtra, power sits with Mahayuti.
Congress party during his lifetime, I'm talking about Balasaheb Thackray, he has a big hatred about Congress and Sharad Pawar as far as the ideology is concerned. What about Uddhav Thackray? He is been still sitting on their lap. The difference between ideology. If Uddhav Thackray wants to join with Raj Thackray because he's been losing his support, public support, out of 91 corporators of Mumbai, 56 corporators have joined Eknath Shindeji's real Shiv Sena.
And a possible reunion of the Thackerays is more than reclaiming legacy. It is now becoming a matter of survival of the brand Thackeray.
जो इंसान अपने खुद के बाप का नहीं रहा, वो किसका हो सकता है?
In the ever-shifting sands of Maharashtra politics, the BJP has once again thrown a googly at the Thackerays. Just hours ago, the Maharashtra government withdrew the government resolution that mandated the three-language formula that was in the eye of the storm. In chess terms, the BJP just threw the chessboard out of the window. The question still remains, what does this mean for the Thackray reunion? Can the tactical handshake translate into votes? Or will it just be a nostalgic reminder of an era gone long ago? Only time will tell.
All right, joining us for an expert comment on this possible development of Uddhav and Raj Thackray coming together, Prafulla Ketkar, editor of the Organizer Weekly. And very good evening to you, Mr. Ketkar. Mumbai belongs to Bala Saheb, but not to the Thackerays, it seems, as of now, because both the Thackerays cannot claim to be true legatees of Bala Saheb as of now. So is it the coming together for political survival, as you say?
Namaste and good evening. Abhishek, it is not just about the two Thackeray, it is also about Shinde Sena. So the legacy war, please try and understand, Bala Saheb's politics rested on three pillars. One was Hindutva, two was anti-Congressism, and third was Marathi Manus. Now this entire Marathi language issue, actually the committee that was formed when Uddhav was the chief minister, and the Mashelkar committee proposed the three-language formula, which will be the second one. Marathi was always there, but which was the second one, English and Hindi, what will be the sequence, and that was always the issue. Now, suddenly this Marathi Manus, even Bala Saheb Thackray realized the limitation when 1960s to 1980s, when he relied mainly on Marathi Manus issue, Shiv Sena was limited to Mumbai, because there the number of Marathi-speaking people was shrinking day by day. But he could expand Shiv Sena only when the larger Hindutva agenda came on the fore. Somehow, by aligning with Congress and NCP, Uddhav Thackray completely lost the plot. In fact, in becoming more secular and getting into Muslim appeasement politics, he completely lost the plot. So they are now trying to find. But what happened? If you see today's celebration, Abhishek, after decision to withdraw the GRs and instituting new committee under the chairmanship of Narendra Jadhav, you would see all MNS taking the credit. Shiv Sena is nowhere on the ground, and that clearly shows that organizationally Shiv Sena is on a very, very weak. Shiv Sena led by Uddhav Thackray is on a very weak wicket, and therefore it was supposed to be. But now the rally that was supposed to be there, the rally of union that was called the joint rally, now that is called off by MNS. So I don't know how it is going to.
Are you suggesting, Prafulla Ketkar, that now that the government has checkmated that move of the two cousins coming together, the possibility itself ends, or you think maybe they will have to now wait for the next available opportunity where they can test the waters on the ground whether their cadres would come together or not?
See, the UBT Shiv Sena has a problem of having cadre itself. See, there may be some sympathizers, there may be some office bearers, but the real cadre base that was existing in Thane and Mumbai, the Nasik base was already taken by Raj. Raj had, given a severe dent in the Nasik belt. But in rest of Maharashtra, Shiv Sena, UBT lost the ground mainly because of their alliance with Congress and NCP. Now, how they are going to reposition themselves? Because Congress also would find it very difficult to go for a purely Marathi agenda, because nobody is compromising on Marathi language here. Marathi is there from first standard itself. But if you want to make it this as an issue, then how are you going to defend the report of the Mashelkar committee when most of the people appointed by UBT Shiv Sena were there? So these are going to be the difficult questions. So I don't see the possibility.
Right.
Interestingly, Abhishek,
Right.
in last 2 days, Raj Thackeray had a meeting with Eknath Shinde.
Yes.
Day before yesterday, he had a meeting with Devendra Fadnavis also.
Right.
So there is another sidetrack of talking alliance with, for municipal corporation election with actually the Mahayuti,
Right.
and not with Uddhav Thackeray. So you never know.
Mr. Ketkar.
In Maharashtra politics, I believe Raj Thackeray would be more judicious when it comes to his survival.
I think the government has already checkmated that move in many ways, the Fadnavis government, and also, shortened the possibility of a longer conversation that we could have had. Prafulla Ketkar, thank you so much for joining us. And on that note, we move on to the second story, friends, which is Air India One. The Prime Minister's plane would be wheels up. This time, it has a massive 5-nation tour upcoming in the next week, starting July 2nd. Prime Minister Modi is all set to embark on a historic tour of the Global South with a key visit to Rio de Janeiro for the 17th BRICS Summit, with stops in Ghana, Trinidad and Tobago, Argentina and Namibia. The voice of the Global South is once again set to create global headlines with a landmark visit from G7, SCO, Quad, BRICS and of course the G20. India is the undisputed voice, it seems, in matters from the Global South. And our next report tells you exactly why.
It's a great honor to host you at the G7. India has been coming to the G7 since 2018.
Just days ago, he was in Canada for the G7 summit. Just last week, India was represented at the Shanghai Cooperation Organization.
Excellency, I believe that the biggest challenges that we are facing in our region are related to peace, security and trust deficit. And the root cause of these problems is increasing radicalization, extremism and terrorism. Excellency, peace and prosperity cannot coexist with terrorism and the proliferation of weapons of the mass destruction in the hands of the non-state actors and the terror groups. Dealing with these challenges require decisive action, and we must unite in our fight against these evils for our collective safety and security.
Months from now, US President Donald Trump is set to visit India for the Quad Leaders Summit.
क्वाड की अगली बैठक के लिए प्रधानमंत्री मोदी ने राष्ट्रपति ट्रंप को भारत यात्रा का निमंत्रण दिया। राष्ट्रपति ट्रंप ने निमंत्रण स्वीकार करते हुए कहा कि वे भारत आने के लिए उत्सुक हैं।
But this week, PM Modi is all set to embark on a historic tour of the Global South, with a key stop in Brazil for the 17th BRICS Summit. India's global influence is growing. With a successful G20 summit held in New Delhi in 2023, PM Modi is emerging as a vibrant voice of the Global South.
आदरणीय प्रधानमंत्री जी, मेरे बड़े भाई, आपने अपनी बुद्धिमानी, साहस और करुणा से भरे नेतृत्व से भारत को केवल 10 ही वर्षों में प्रगति की पथ पर अग्रसर किया है।
The leader of the Global South, and we will rally behind your leadership at Global Forum.
Excellency, today India stands at the vanguard of global progress, guided by a bold and inclusive vision for development, sustainability and technical innovation. Under your dynamic leadership, India has emerged as a strong advocate for the Global South.
Prime Minister Modi's foreign policy has been very visionary, very far-sighted and clearly anchored in India's own national interests, reaching out to the rest of the world. the principal basis of his foreign policy has been Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, that you have to consider the world as one family, that India wants to achieve its position in this family. India wants to develop for the sake of its own people, economic development, political development, scientific development, all these all these aspects are there, but we realize that we want to do it in cooperation and in partnership with the other countries of the world. And this is where Prime Minister Modi's foreign policy has provided very strong leadership for India in the rest of the world.
PM Modi is all set to embark on a 5-nation tour to some of India's most important partners in the global south. This includes a stop in Ghana, Trinidad and Tobago, Argentina, Brazil and Namibia. The journey begins with the first stop in Ghana on July 2nd. This will be the Prime Minister's first ever bilateral visit to Ghana and the first one by an Indian Prime Minister in over 3 decades. In 2018, President of Ghana had visited India last. In March this year, their foreign minister was in New Delhi for a visit. And this trip of PM Modi is expected to further boost the ties of the two nations in economic, energy and defense collaboration. From a brief stop in Ghana, on July 3rd, the Prime Minister will fly to Trinidad and Tobago for the second leg of his tour. It will be the first visit by an Indian Prime Minister to the Caribbean nation since 1999. Just last year in November, the Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago was in Delhi for a bilateral visit. This year, PM Modi is expected to also address a joint session of the Parliament of the island nation. The next step of the visit is perhaps the most interesting one. From Trinidad and Tobago, the PM on July 4th will reach the third destination of his tour, Argentina. This will be PM Modi's second visit to Argentina, with the first one being in November of 2018 for the G20 summit held in Buenos Aires.
भारत और अर्जेंटीना के बीच 15,000 किलोमीटर की दूरी है। हम दोनों देशों के बीच दो विशाल महासागर और महाद्वीप हैं, लेकिन भारत और अर्जेंटीना में एक दूसरे की संस्कृतियों के प्रति आदर भाव के सामने हजारों किलोमीटर की दूरी सिर्फ एक आंकड़ा मात्र है।
PM Modi is expected to hold discussions on wide-ranging issues with President Javier Milei.
Argentina is a strong bilateral partner for India, both in terms of trade, in terms of the overall strategic metrics, both in Latin America as well as globally. And therefore, from that point of view, Prime Minister stopping over in Argentina will give him a chance to really gauge how the Global South idea is progressing, about what role can Argentina play in making that a success.
From Argentina, on July 5th, PM Modi will arrive in Rio for the 17th BRICS Summit. This year's summit is going to be an interesting one. While Brazil is the host nation of the summit, heads of the two states of two important founding nations of BRICS are not going to be in attendance. Just like the 2023 BRICS Summit in Johannesburg, President Putin is going to skip the trip to Rio to avoid an arrest under the International Criminal Court warrant issued against him for the Ukraine war. Interestingly, for the first time in 12 years, Chinese President Xi Jinping is going to give BRICS a skip, with Chinese Premier Li Qiang attending instead. The reason for Xi not attending? Reports from Beijing suggest that the Chinese president was miffed with President Lula as he invited PM Modi for a state dinner instead of him. This despite the fact that Lula had visited Beijing on a state visit just last month.
has been speculation in the papers about who is coming and who is not coming. Certainly, the President of Brazil, President Lula da Silva, has given a very, very important profile to our Prime Minister's visit. And in addition to participation in the BRICS summit, in the bilateral visit, he's doing a state dinner. But I think that all this coming in the papers that Chinese President Xi Jinping is not coming because of this, I don't think that is kind of serious at all. I think probably President Xi Jinping has his own internal problems within China, to consider, and that is why he decided not to leave the country, leave his country at this point.
Both Xi Jinping and Putin missing in action, PM Modi is expected to take a leading role as the senior-most statesman amongst the founding BRICS members in attendance.
I don't think that really will make a huge lot of difference, because whether Putin and Xi were there or even if they were there, it would be difficult to ignore the voice of India at a meeting like BRICS. And India does have a strong voice in the affairs of the global economy as well as BRICS.
I think that the respect for Prime Minister Modi will always be there in these summits. Regardless of whether President Xi Jinping is there or President Putin is there or not there, it doesn't matter. I think our Prime Minister, Narendra Modi, has carved a real special place for himself in the opinions, in the hearts and minds of the people of Latin America, Asia and Africa, and they respect him, and they are giving him the special treatment, and they're giving him special banquet, special bilateral visit. Not every visitor gets a bilateral visit. It's only our Prime Minister who's got a bilateral visit. This indicates the respect and great friendship with which he is being met in Brazil. So our Prime Minister's role would be the same.
From Rio, PM Modi will travel to Brasilia, where he will be honored as a state guest by President Lula, and will be hosted for an official state dinner where discussions are expected on trade, defense, energy, space, technology, agriculture and health.
Brazil also being the host of the G20, obviously the partnership between India and Brazil will make a lot of impact on the growth of both G20 as well as the global south. Brazil is also an important agricultural economy as well as connectivity. If you remember that Brazil is also part of BRICS, and therefore Brazil's participation in BRICS will contribute to the role that Brazil and India will play together in G20 when they meet again at that time.
After a 2-night stay in Brazil, the longest of this tour, before returning to New Delhi, PM Modi will make a final stop in Namibia on July 9th. This will be the third ever prime ministerial visit from India to Namibia. Over the years, India and Namibia have worked constructively across sectors to boost their partnership, with bilateral trade even crossing 500 million mark in the last year. One of the biggest memorable collaborations between the two nations being the 8 cheetahs from Namibia in 2022 brought to India for Project Cheetah at the Kuno National Park, which now boasts more than 31 cheetahs. In Namibia, the PM is expected to hold bilateral talks with his counterpart and is also expected to deliver an address at the Namibian Parliament. When it comes to leadership and support to the members of the Global South, India has always walked the talk.
साथियों, हम एक दूसरे के पड़ोसी हैं, ग्लोबल साउथ के साथी सदस्य हैं और विश्व में तेज गति से ग्रो करने वाला क्षेत्र है। हम शांतिप्रिय देश हैं, एक दूसरे की राष्ट्रीय अखंडता और संप्रभुता का सम्मान करते हैं और अपने युवाओं के उज्जवल भविष्य के प्रति हम कमिटेड हैं।
India's economy is growing rapidly, and we would soon be the number 3 economy in the world after the USA and the China. So India is playing a major role. So whether it is SCO or Quad or it is G7, it's going to be difficult to not include India in those kind of deliberative forums. We have a role to play. We have an important role to play. I do hope that this role by India in the various forums will lead to a positive outcome for Indian economy
With this five-nation tour, India is once again set to spread the true spirit of friendship, collaboration, and mutual growth with a classic dash of Modi diplomacy.
All right, so let's understand the geopolitical, geoeconomic and geostrategic implications of this very important visit of Prime Minister to the Global South nations. Joining us, top diplomat Anil Trigunath. He's someone who's adept at strategic affairs. Welcome, sir. And my first question to you, Prime Minister participating in the BRICS summit, but the fact that both Xi Jinping and President Putin are not going to be there, does it impact the importance of the summit in any manner?
Well, I don't think so. I mean, the reported reason for President Xi Jinping not going there is that there is a state dinner in honor of Prime Minister Modi. Hence, he probably thought that it was something that was letting him down. But at the same time, his Prime Minister is going to be there. And Russia, obviously, because of the warrant that is there, international warrant by the ICC, President Putin is not traveling there. And he'll be represented by Foreign Minister Lavrov. Now, it has happened in the past. We have also not attended some of the summits. So it happens off and on.
That gives an idea. That gives an idea of the kind of importance in the mind of Xi Jinping. Prime Minister Modi really occupies, I believe. And the fact that in the last BRICS summit in South Africa, Xi Jinping had a state dinner, but still Prime Minister went. And this week-long foreign visit of the Prime Minister seems to be designed for Global South. So Ghana, Namibia, Trinidad and Tobago, and of course Argentina, along with Brazil and South America. That seems like a clear, sharp focus on Global South.
Indeed. I mean, as far as India is concerned, that is our natural constituency. India has emerged as the voice of the Global South. We have ourselves, during our G20 presidency, held two summits. One before actually within the short time of taking over the presidency, and the second after the summit, in order to convey what we have been able to achieve. And thereafter, the third Global Voice of Global South Summit has been made. We have also set up something called Dakshin, where we are bringing about all the ideas, think tanks. So from our perspective, Global South is very important, and I'm very happy that Prime Minister Modi has decided to go to both Namibia and Ghana, which are very important countries. And of course, Argentina has emerged as a very major partner for us in many ways. Yeah. And so Argentina and Brazil, that is a good selection, I guess.
Now, staying with Ghana, Namibia, the Global South theme, sir, the fact that some of these nations, including, of course, the two, Namibia and Ghana, even Trinidad and Tobago, it's first time that an Indian Prime Minister is visiting after 3 decades or more. I mean, is that a statement of sorts on the kind of neglect this geography faced from Indian diplomacy?
Abhishek, somehow, unfortunately, in the past, the high-level visit deficit has been very prominent in most parts of the globe, especially those who are very close to us. Africa is very important from our point of view. After Prime Minister Nehru's visit, there were not many visits to the region that had taken place. But ever since Prime Minister Modi took over, and he really crafted this 10 guiding principle for Africa policy, Africans first, that policy actually, and the number of visits he himself has undertaken, President, Vice President, the ministers, everybody has undertaken, that shows that we have tried to bridge the deficit. More importantly, during our our G20 summit, we were able to include African Union. Virtually making G20 into G21. That has been a great achievement. And then India is hoping to organize this India-Africa Forum Summit, which has been pending for quite some time now. So Africa remains very much in the focus. And you are absolutely right. Somehow, unfortunately, we have not paid due attention, even though we were helping them one way or the other through high-tech programs and others.
Yeah.
But the high-level exchanges and the visits at the level of the leaders, and especially the Prime Minister, are extremely important for any geography. Same was true of West Asia, which is again very important geography for us.
Yeah.
And so I'm very happy that this government has really tried to bridge the deficit.
All right, friends, in his recently released autobiography, his third actually, His Holiness the Dalai Lama had said that his successor or reincarnation would be born in the free world, which basically meant that the 15th Dalai Lama would be born outside of China. Back in 2011, he had also said that when he turns 90 years, he would confabulate with key monks, lamas, and important people within Tibetan Buddhism and decide who would succeed him. That moment has come, with the Tibetan Buddhists from around the world converging on Dharamsala in Himachal Pradesh to mark the 90th birthday of their spiritual head. The world is watching, and more importantly, Beijing is keeping a hawk's eye. There's something about the Dalai Lama that scares the Chinese. Let's help you understand why. Take a look.
His Holiness the Dalai Lama is turning 90 on July 6th. Dharamshala in Himachal Pradesh, his present abode, is all decked up to mark the occasion with fervour and festivities lined up.
कि वो एक कॉम्पिटिशन और लव एंड कॉम्पिटिशन का एक गॉड है हम लोग के लिए, है ना?
Tomorrow, 30th would be the day of celebration of his 90th birthday. So it will be a whole day of celebration, and it's particularly organized by the people of eastern region of Tibet called Amdo. And the festivities, the decorations and everything will reflect that aspect of the culture. And there will be a lot of dignitaries coming from all over the world, Buddhist world, and our own community, and many more. So this will be very festive and very joyful celebration to really reflect on how great and important His Holiness is, not just for us, but for promoting the peace and happiness for the world. We have long life prayer that has been happening for the last 7 days, which we call Tseduk, and community from the different monastic community members have came here to do a daily prayer, wishing His Holiness to have a long life.
Starting June 30th for over a week, Dharamshala in Himachal Pradesh would see events that would focus on the life and legacy of Dalai Lama. Among them a 3 days Buddhism conference, lots of rituals and prayers, and of course, a birthday party.
We wish to High Holiness for his long life, good health, and flourish his teaching around the world, benefit of human community, and establish peace, harmony, and happiness.
But the most awaited moment, not just in Dharamshala or India, but the entire world, would be the one when Dalai Lama addresses the faithful. For on his 90th birthday, he is expected to announce or indicate who his successor or reincarnation, the 15th Dalai Lama, would be.
So in 2011, His Holiness the 14th Dalai Lama said that he would
say something about his reincarnation when he turns 90th. But one thing that we have to keep in mind is, if you read that statement, it has clearly said that when he turns 90th, he would consult with all the lamas of Tibetan religious sects and Tibetan people in particular to know whether they should have the continuation of the institution of the Dalai Lama or not. But in 2019, when there was the third General Tibetan meetings, so it was unanimously passed a resolution which says that the Dalai Lama's institution must continue. So that means it will continue. But another thing that we have to keep in mind is, when he turns 90th, definitely he will say something about his reincarnation.
Born as Tenzin Gyatso in 1935, the present Dalai Lama has served as the spiritual head of Tibetan Buddhism for the last 7 decades or more. As mysterious as his reincarnation was as the 14th Dalai Lama, so was his escape to India from Chinese dragnet in 1959. The Chinese never liked it. Their takeover of Tibet sought to fashion Tibetan Buddhism into a communist image. Dalai Lama became the face of that resistance. First in Lhasa, then in India, and then around the world. China carried out a massive crackdown like any other religion. So in the case of Buddhism in Tibet, an attempt was made to bulldoze the identity and make it subordinate to the Han Chinese supremacism. As the world watched, the Dalai Lama became the voice of the reason, of peace, even of humanity's capacity to face adversity with a chuckle. Hollywood provided heft, movies got made, Beijing frowned, tightening its grip over Tibet. Out of nowhere, China produced their own Lama, the sect's second highest spiritual position, only to be rejected completely by the followers.
चाइनीज दलाई लामा चाइना अगर कोई ढूंढ भी लेगा उसमें कोई वो नहीं आएगा, जैसे कि अभी जो पेंजन लामा का एक नकली वाला लेके आया था, उसमें कोई वो महत्व देने वाला उनको मान्यता प्राप्त नहीं हुआ है तिब्बती समुदाय में, है ना.
The Chinese government during recently made many the fake Lama to preserve Tibetan culture, traditional name of they are the misusing Tibetan culture, tradition and philosophy and community. They are the misusing name of the Tibetan people.
Reincarnation के लिए अब जैसे कि पूरा विश्व जानता है दलाई लामा जी का जो भी reincarnation होगा, पुनर्जन्म का जो भी होगा, तो वही हमारा जो अलग से जो एक दलाई लामा जी को जो खोजबीन करते हैं, जो लामा जो हमारे तिब्बती के अंदर होते हैं, तो वही उनको खोजबीन करेगा. और जो दलाई लामा जी अपना जो अभी 14वां जो दलाई लामा जी है, वो अपना जगह ते सब खुद बता के जाते हैं कि इस तरह से होगा, वहाँ पे होगा. तो इसलिए जो भी होगा दलाई लामा जी और हमारा तिब्बती के सबके समुदाय के अंदर ही पता चलेगा कि इनका अगले जन्म कहाँ होगा. चाइना वाला जो हर कोई मनाता है वो बिल्कुल बनता है, जो दूसरा लामा जो बनाते रहते हैं वो सब झूठ होता है, और झूठ का पूरे विश्व में पता चल जाता है ये झूठ है, क्योंकि ये हर दम एकदम अपने तरफ से जोर जबरदस्ती करके बनाते हैं जो है.
These voices on the ground are a glimpse of how Chinese machinations are seen on the sensitive issues of reincarnation.
दलाई लामा जी का अभी पुनर्जन्म या उनके रीइनकार्नेशन के बारे में अभी चीन सरकार बहुत अभी जल्दी में है, लेकिन परम भवन जी ने भी बहुत ही अवसर में कहा कि अभी कोई जल्दी नहीं है. अगर चीन सरकार कोई उनका ये रीइनकार्नेशन में कोई दखल डालना चाहेंगे तो पहले उनको अपना माओ ज़ेडोंग, तेंग शॉपिंग इनका रीइनकार्नेशन के बारे में सोचना चाहिए, ना कि परम पावन जी के बारे में, क्योंकि ये हाथ में चीन जो है वो कम्युनिस्ट है, जो नास्तिक है, वो रिलीजियस मैटर्स में उनका ये दखल देना सही नहीं लग रहा है.
These are strong sentiments, a barometer of how China is seen by the followers of Dalai Lama. One thing becomes clear going by these voices, that China has suspect locus on the issue. What if China decides to go ahead and decides to have its own Dalai Lama instead? Would we have two Dalai Lamas in the world?
दलाई लामा जी का जन्म या रीइनकार्नेशन एक खेल खेलना था उनको. जो पेंशन लामा के बारे में भी उन्होंने ये किया था, लेकिन वो सबसे बड़ा गलती था उनके. उन्होंने जो हिसाब लगाया था वो नहीं हो पा रहा है अभी तक वो जो असली वाला है उनको अभी तक 30-35 वर्ष अभी तक जेल में रखा हुआ है. किसी से मिलने नहीं दे रहा. उनका स्वास्थ्य और जीवित है या नहीं किसी को उनके बारे में जानकारी नहीं है.
The Dalai Lama has himself spoken on the subject as recently as a couple of months ago in his book, The Voice of the Voiceless, making it clear that his successor will not be from China.
He has made it very clear that his reincarnation would born, quote unquote, in a free world. And at the same time, he also said that he would leave a written instruction when he passes away. So these two instructions will definitely help finding the reincarnation of the Dalai Lama.
The book received sharp reaction from Chinese Foreign Ministry.
14世达赖是一个披着宗教外衣从事反华分裂活动的政治流亡者，根本无权代表西藏人民。关于达赖转世的问题，活佛转世是藏传佛教特有的传承方式，有固定的宗教仪轨和历史定制。达赖喇嘛活佛传承世系形成发展于中国西藏，其宗教地位和名号也是由中央政府确定的，已经有几百年的历史。
China wants the next Dalai Lama as per their rules.
There's no point of expectation or something like. My point is that, like the Chinese, they don't have a religion. They're against religion, to be honestly speaking, right? So how come they will reincarnate the 14th Dalai Lama? The reincarnation, regarding the reincarnation of 14th Dalai Lama, the Dalai Lama himself will decide who will be the next reincarnations. Yeah, not by the Chinese or not by any of the government or any of the organizations.
And if the announcement happens now, wouldn't the Chinese get time to make a counter move?
If he says something very exact about his reincarnation, I'm sure the Chinese will have plenty of time to counter this argument and statement, so that they will definitely think about how to counter the statements made by the Dalai Lama, and they will definitely think about another way to fight for the succession of the Dalai Lama.
Which means that His Holiness might go through the motions of consultation over the next 1 week, but bid his time when it comes to the actual announcement.
We all know that His Holiness has a very good political acumen. He's a very good political acumen. So he knows exactly how to deal with the Chinese government.
Irrespective of whether His Holiness makes the announcement this coming week on his birthday, China would be on tenterhooks and watching the developments closely. The monk clearly scares the dragon no ends.
Hope you enjoyed it. This is all we could pack for you in this Sunday edition of Looking Forward. Short break. News is back on the other side. And of course, tomorrow 8 p.m. Super Prime Time Match with Arnab Goswami is back. Be there. Thanks for watching.
ये है सीक्रेट रेसिपी MDH का जीरा सब जल जीरा मसाला।